It's not funny.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. What are you doing?
It was broke.
It's been broke this whole time.
Well, I'm now back on this video ninja stuff.
Megaworldwide.
Right.
I've had people walk out of me before, but not when I was being so charming.
All right. There he is. Holy cow, video.
I don't care for you if it'll keep a sludge you're troweling out.
Puss face little pimp stick.
True progressive talk.
Might be a good time for you guys to give up.
Well, Philip Bittner's joining us right now. Bless his heart. As I've, I'm scrambling to fit things. And by the way, now all of a sudden it kind of works. So whatever. Let's, in reality, we have, there's a lot of problems in the world. These kind aren't a big deal. Philip Bittner is currently in Ukraine, where reality trumps, no pun intended, all of the issues we may find amongst ourselves in anything. And he's drinking some sort of bizarre Ukrainian liqueur on ice.
Cherry? No, it's a cherry soda.
It's a cherry soda. Okay, close enough. And by the way, hi, and Johnny Million, welcome back.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
And
I'm back in Kiev.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. So we can tell by your
By
yeah.
good old Olga.
Yep. Now, a couple of things right out of the gate. I don't know if you've heard about the stuff on our side of the pond currently and the Trump laptop stuff.
I have been on a train. I have been on it. I will be perfectly honest with you. I've been on a train for the last 7.5 hours, and
Yeah.
I walked through the front door about 45 minutes ago. So I'm not up to date on any news, whether it is on that side of the pond or this. So
Fabulous.
You'll see my real-time reaction.
Excellent. Well, apparently Trump's attorney returned some classified documents that he still had at Mar-a-Lago and informed the FBI that these documents had been copied onto a laptop and a thumb drive and were in the possession of an aide that worked for the Save America PAC, which is his fundraising arm, where he's basically funneling money to pay all of his bills. So, I mean, if you're going to talk about like trying to get sketchy donors, dark money donors, to give you money in exchange for a little bit of peekaboo, this reeks. And
our friends in the GRU would love that.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. And my guess is that, this is all secondhand stuff to them at this point. And by the way, you're watching and listening to Hal Sparks' radio program, Megaworldwide. Follow Philip Bittner on Twitter for as long as he's there until he moves over to Spoutable, I guess. 1 L in Philip, 2 T's in Ittner. Johnny Million is also still with us because he's wonderful.
I've got all the L's and T's in Johnny Million.
Yes. Yeah. 2 N's and 3 N's. There's 3 N's in Johnny Million. I'm just going for the. All right. So.
Johnny Million.
So I was saying the one at the end. I'm just saying it would be very.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Johnny Milio is a very different name. So, one of the things that hit in the last little bit, Philip Bittner, is that beyond the price cap on oil, that definitely, Russia was raging about for a while. There was another date coming up for processed fuels that was, I believe, February 5th, and that just passed. And because I guess the Russians thought the West was bluffing, this date happened, and everybody's starting to abide by it. Russia has now threatened to lower their fuel output, their oil output, by 500,000 barrels a day. A couple things. Yeah. One, they can't, because they can't. Already they're selling below the cap, and they've already taken a ginormous hit from both of those elements. They're I want to say $46 a barrel. Their break even is 50. They're in a bind. Also, once you get the oil flow going, you can't just shut it off. If you do, it gums up the works. It will. It will back up. They don't have anywhere to store it. The Russians don't have giant storage places,
and they're not very good. They're not very good on refining it.
Right.
They rip it out of the ground and then they send it to somebody else who will do the refining, or it's their MO, it's their modus operandi. They just rip stuff out of the ground and then they send it somewhere. You know, they'll rip nickel out of the earth, or natural gas, or oil,
Right.
and then they just send it abroad. So it's kind of a Pyrrhic victory for them at best, I should think. Really, it's more like a shoot yourself in the foot kind of move.
Right.
But that's what they do.
Well, the other thing too is if again, maybe they're just pretending to not take it out of the ground so that they can give it to China in exchange for other stuff, and there will be they're gonna, like, NATO satellites will track giant, trains full of oil going to China in exchange for some sort of secondary stuffs, like a barter system. That's entirely possible. It's also a ridiculous place to find yourself in if you think, well, we're winning this hands down and we're going to take on NATO next. The other thing I want to bring up with you is Prigozhin. Did you see the Prigozhin video, the interview with him, where he said it's going to take him 3 years to take
Donbass, and then he kind of alluded to moving onward to Paris and London.
Right.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that.
Right.
You don't have the time. Russia does not have 2 or 3 years to spare, and every day that goes by, more modern hardware is coming into this country. So he can say that if he likes, but
right.
And also in addition to that, I don't know why he feels he could say that, because what will be better for Russia in the next 2 to 3 years?
Right.
All they've got is people. They've got conscripts that they can throw. I mean, they can try and rebuild their armaments industry and remodel it without modern technology and chips and things like that. But
I don't think so.
Their situation is going to be better in 2 or 3 years. It's only going to get worse. But this is Prigozhin. Prigozhin does this kind of stuff. He says this kind of stuff because he's all about bluster, as most of the Russian leadership is. Mm-hmm. It's all about puffing your chest out and saying, I'm a big man, pay attention to me. It's thirsty as heck. And they, it's all about, I'm a big, mean guy on the global stage, and you better pay attention to me or bad things will happen. It is all about projecting an image of competence, of intimidation, of power, and it's desperate. You can see right through it. Prigozhin is a perfect example. Solovyev is a perfect guy. I saw Soloveyev's latest screed this morning when I was leaving Lviv.
I didn't see that part.
He's angry at everybody, and he's just, talking about nukes and talking about how, if the West is so eager to give weaponry to Ukraine, well, why don't you give Ukraine nukes, and then we can all just have a nuclear apocalypse together? He's melting down, in my opinion, Solovyev is. But all of this, again, comes back to this projection of power and this desperate need to project power. And pay attention to me, I'm big and mean, and be scared of me. If you're really big and mean and scary, you don't have to
tell anybody.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I saw actually footage this week, and it looked like something out of Braveheart or something, like guys on a hill with a bunch of tanks in front of them ready for a big push. And it's hard from the Ukrainian side. It's hard to say whether this is just them teasing the Russians or it's, the beginning of something that's actually coming. But how is artillery fire and like the back and forth happening currently, that as you know it?
Well, yesterday was awful. Yesterday was not shelling and artillery, but all around the country. We think it was in reaction to Zelensky's really successful international continental Europe and Britain trip, because they just kept hammering us yesterday.
Right.
I mean, just here in Kiev, I believe there were 4 air raid sirens and 4, potential attacks. Out in Lviv, there were at least 3.
Right.
It was just, there's the question of whether or not this is the beginning of this expected offensive. And there's intelligence coming in from satellite, so clearly from one of the eyes in the sky, one of the 5 eyes bodies, most likely, admittedly, the U.S., saying that yes, we see them massing, but we don't see them getting ready to stage an attack. And yet we are hearing of artillery strikes and that kind of activity on the front lines, which is very much their military doctrine. The Russian military doctrine, as I've expressed in the past to you, Hal, is basically it's 19th century. It's not even 20th century. It's 19th century kind of thinking. Open up with artillery and then send
flood
in
the place
troops
with men, right?
Yeah, flood the place with men, but first hit with artillery. We have seen a lot of artillery strikes, so I don't know if it's the beginning of their offensive. They can't wait too long, because before too long, all the armor is going to be here.
Right.
The Germans have said that their tanks, the Leopard 2s, will be here by the mid to end of March. Although some people are saying maybe the beginning of April. The Challengers are already in the region. The Challenger 2 from the Brits, although that's a small number, but it is a proper modern NATO battle tank, and that's intimidating. The Bradleys, we know, are in Poland. I wouldn't be terribly surprised if quite a few of them are already on this side of the border.
Right.
The longer they wait, the more and more of these NATO modern armor, tanks and fighting vehicles are going to be here. And when those get here, it doesn't matter how many. Well, I say it doesn't matter. Of course, it does matter. The quantity has a quality of its own, as the old military saying goes.
Right.
But they will mow down Russians.
Yeah.
Especially if they're done. Especially if they're staged in what's called the combined arms doctrine, which is basically supplement infantry fighting vehicles packed with soldiers in conjunction with army, dismount from the infantry fighting vehicle. The infantry fighting vehicle has a very powerful autocannon on it, and and then overhead you have aircraft, helicopters, you have artillery, all going in conjunction with one another. Right. In contrast to what the Russians are doing with this whole 19th century, very basic kind of artillery and conscripts. They will mow down Russians. They will absolutely mow down Russians.
Right.
So can the Russians wait until all of that modern technology is in place and the
make
new
it
tactics
worse?
are?
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
I can't see that. And I also you're talking about a time when, if they do, or if they are putting it off, they're putting it off to a time when they are lowering their oil output. And by the way, who's there to who's there to throttle it back? They have moved so many of their able-bodied men into the war zone or into training to go in there very quickly. That a myriad of industries is this ongoing thing with them having fires all over the country and that kind of stuff, and everybody immediately assuming to some degree that it must be sabotage, but in reality, there's a lot to this that just could simply point to those guys
breaking down.
Yeah, just breaking down. There's nobody to actually take care of this stuff.
And there's nobody to nobody competent to keep things working, keep things ticking over, because either a lot of them have run away and left the country because they have skills that can be put on the open market, or they've left because they don't want to be conscripted, or they have been conscripted, or any number of different reasons. But there's clearly something going on with Russia's infrastructure that cannot be just put down to sabotage.
Right.
It's too widespread. It's too
slapdash.
It's too
Right.
significant.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's this, and it does have this common recurring theme of like something goes boom. The system grinds to a halt. There is not the lubricant to keep things ticking over. There aren't the people who have the technological know-how to anticipate that grinding down, and then something goes boom.
Yeah.
Russia is, look, I mean, as much as the other side of the equation will have you believe that everything is fine, and actually it's the West who is in dire straits. I mean, I'm on this side of the line, right? I'm in Ukraine on this side of the battle line. And I can tell you that things are not breaking down here in Ukraine, and I can't believe that they're breaking down inside the EU like they're hiding it from us. No, I don't think so. I think it's far more likely that it's the other side of the battle lines that are having real significant problems and are in the process of breaking down. This is not, I mean,
right.
It's not going to go well for the Russians. It's not going well for the Russians. It's not going to get any better. So Prigozhin saying it's going to take 2 to 3 years before we secure all of Donbass. I mean, they can try. War is a tricky thing. It's part of it is gambling, and part of it is luck, and part of it is good fortune.
Right.
And it's entirely possible that. And then what happens is, does support from the West dwindle, and so do they negotiate as part of the settlement of a negotiated peace include giving up the 4 provinces that were under a quote unquote referendum ceded to Russia? I can't see the Ukrainians accepting that.
Nope. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll take some questions. So we'll be back right after this. It's the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, now with 100% more. Johnny Million and Philip Bittner joining us from Kiev.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this Ninja, the old Ninja program is weird in and of itself too, because on my display, normally it's, it's weird.
Yes, it is.
Are you still trying to work out some of the bugs?
I'm always trying to work out stuff.
Some of the bugs. Well, look, if you want to schedule sometime this week to kind of do a troubleshooting, I'm
that'd
happy
be lovely.
to do that.
I just for whatever reason, and they're monkey wrenches. At some point, I'm like, I've got to one of these things either has to work, or I have to find a third option, a third way, as it were, and that might be in the offing. I don't know. So.
Well, if you want to schedule kind of a troubleshooting session, I'm happy to do that.
That'd be lovely. I appreciate that.
I'm
wonderful. Yeah.
I'm out.
Oh, you bastard!
I knew it. I'm doing that so you'll
I
ask
don't
me.
have time for this. Johnny, time is money for Johnny.
That's right. This is. Do you realize how much this is costing you too?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I got better things to do.
Yeah. If Johnny Million always going, if I had a nickel, well, he does.
I do.
He does. Well,
Check your balance.
One shiny nickel.
I got a nickel.
Literally, there are 2 elements. One is the software that runs the audio, so I can route it, won't open all of a sudden. It just won't. I don't know why. I think it's very peculiar. It's a curious thing. Let's see. Maybe I can run it from here. Hold on. Hold on. I might. This is this.
Stay on target.
Oh, if this would be. Hold on a second. I'm gonna try something. Wish me luck.
Good luck, Hal.
Okay.
Shh.
We're back in 20 seconds. Do you need more time?
Nope, we're good.
Just a little bit of luck.
Just a little bit. Yeah, YouTube was. I'm going with YouTube was hijacked and evil. There was evil.
Oh, Bald Thanos just sent me a bunch of nickels. Thank
You're
you.
locked into the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Oh, that's very sweet of him. Bald Thanos, that's very lovely of you. Sending Johnny a bunch of nickels. because
that's a lot of nickels.
Is it?
It's a fair amount. It's enough to make your hands smell funny.
Oh yeah, well, that too late. So
whatever floats your floats your boat.
No,
Whatever floats
not
your
at all.
hand.
Nope. Look, some people's yums need to be yucked, and in Johnny Million's case, that's how it works. So lots going on here. I just solved one of my little problems, which is nice, and I think we got some smooth video. Fingers crossed, we'll end up, we'll please release me, let me go. This like tech stuff. So now we've got questions, I have no doubt, from the chat room. Most of them are like, why don't you get a new computer, Hal? But so
That's the first one.
right, yeah.
But I do have a question here. If we want to start off with a Connie Kelly question.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Are formal classes being held for the children who have not been sent out of the country? Are they being held in the bomb shelter areas, or is it